So. The question is gonna be, is Triple H racist? I'ma let the fans decide that. And not the new casual fan. The fans that's been watching wrestling since they were 3. Why does Rhea Ripley get to pin Kairi Sane? Now, granted, Zoe Stark got injured, but it seems like if Rhea got that pin, she was going to either pin Kairi or Stark. Rhea doesn't need this win. Rhea doesn't need to be in the Money in the Bank if she could just whine and complain and get on the card anyway. We don't want to see that. Kairi has been blowing up on Twitter, Instagram, because, you know, she put on a little weight. She got a little more muscle, looking good online, and the fans loved it. So then, surprise appearance on Raw, Kairi gets a pop from the crowd. And I mean, it's the, above average pop that she normally gets, right? And you book her to lose. Not only did she lose, it was kind of botchy because Zoe Stark got injured. So then her and Rhea are kind of trying to put on, 5 to 7 more minutes of a match that they didn't rehearse. And some kind of way, Rhea still gets over. I mean, they're booking Rhea like she's the Undertaker. Rhea did not need this win at all. But it should have been done different. If you wanted Rhea to win, you should have put in there with 2 jobbers. It didn't need to happen. She should have been in the match with Becky Lynch. If you were going to have Lyra come and interfere, that would have let Rhea get that win. But no, you have to bring Kairi back and have her get pinned. And I wouldn't even say have her get pinned. You brought her back from a hiatus. She gets a pop. And you have her lose in this triple threat. Why couldn't Kairi get over? Kairi would have showed out 10 times more than what Rhea's going to do at Money in the Bank. Rhea is not going to do any cool spots at Money in the Bank besides a riptide. Kairi could have did the insane elbow off the ladder to outside of the ring or something. You're trying to stack it up. You don't even have Becky in the Money in the Bank. This, man, I'm telling you. And then, I'm not trying to make this video just about Kairi, but you don't even want to have the Street Profits on a PLE. And the Street Profits are over. And the Street Profits showed y'all what they could do in that TLC match. But the Street Profits has been showing y'all what they could do for over 3 years. And Triple H will not give certain people a push. Kairi has about just as much talent as Julia. Just as much talent as Io Sky. Now, she isn't over as Io Sky. She isn't. I would say Julia, they may have about the same amount of clout, but you know, she's just as talented. She knows how to do her psychology. She knows how to do her character. Just go look at them when they were in Japan. She's over in Japan. Kari is even older. I mean, not older, over in almost all these other countries, just, watching other people on YouTube that review wrestling and looking at the fans, she's getting a lot of likes. Every picture she posts, 16,000 likes. I don't get it why Triple H wants to squash talent that isn't your, I'm not even gonna say Seth Rollins, but you know exactly what I'm saying. And I mean, is it really far-fetched to think Triple H is racist? He's been racist since WWF days. And I don't know if he's like a big racist, just hates black people, but hey, look at Ric Flair. Teddy Long has a story about Ric Flair. You could go watch that on your own time. Type in Teddy Long Ric Flair. Who's in Evolution? Not too much about Batista, but definitely The Rock wouldn't work with Shawn Michaels. Why do you think of that? I mean, hey, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, if it hang around, certain people and you hang with those people, most likely you're one of them. And I don't think, if it's on a scale of 1 to 10, Triple H, he's starting to look like a 7 or 8, to be honest. Yeah, you're giving Stephanie a little push with the NXT, but she has so much talent, you can't get in the way of that. But I see her being like a Zelina Vega in the future with WWE, because Triple H is going, she's going to go to Raw or SmackDown, and he's going to have Tiffany beat her 9 times out of 10. I guarantee you. He's going to ruin that push and have her be a mid-card jobber the entire time she's there. Watch. Just watch. Julia, with as much talent as she has, she's going to be a mid-card jobber under Triple H. The only thing she could do is get herself so over that he has to push her. Look at Carmelo Hayes. Look at the Street Profits. But there are certain people that came through and they went straight to the top. Straight to the top. I don't know Triple H. I mean, that was a bad move. And we saw that, you pulled that in front of everybody's face. There's no reason Kari couldn't win. And you can't justify it by saying, Rhea Ripley had to win. Well, then you don't put Kari and Rhea in the same ring until Money in the Bank. Like, come on, like you could have had Kari, Ivy, and a jobber, and let them do a good match. You could have did anything. You have so many wrestlers, you could have made that match with, and that's what you give us. Which the match would have been great. It would have been a great match. Zoe got hurt, but that's not how you book that. You know, people want to cheer for Kari, but then they want to cheer for Rhea. It's like, bruh, Triple H, you sucking. And you don't want to let Street Profits shine on the PLE because, you know, they're running the tag team division. The Street Profits is more over than the New Day. And you still put the New Day on the WrestleMania card. Now, you're the booker. You could have put one on night 1, one on night 2, but you didn't do it. You left the Street Profits off of WrestleMania, and for everybody saying Montez Ford is going to win a Money in the Bank or he's going to win the Royal Rumble one day, you're delusional. When the Triple H is going to keep either the Street Profits in tag team division for the rest of their WWE career, or they're going to leave together, or they're going to break up and have to go to AEW, which I think they're going to go to the NWA. I see it. I see it clearly. Give it another 5 years. If Montez Ford doesn't get a single push directly to upper mid card, because, you know, he should have been in the mid card a couple of years ago to start getting that push to the top now and fighting people like Dominic Mysterio, Braun Breaker. You know, he's not even fighting, you know, B-lister Black on the mid card right now. He's still fooling around with this tag team stuff. You know, if that's the career he wants, to just totally be tag team champions, you know, 16 times, go ahead. But we all know you want championship, a singles championship gold. You know, the Street Profits isn't one of these tag teams that right now isn't going to go down in history. You know, I don't even know if I would call them icons. You know, they have to they have to stick around a little longer and get that push, but Triple H won't do it. They're getting their push now. Don't expect a push if they stay in the tag team division once they lose those belts. Once they lose those belts, they're either going to get booked into oblivion to lose every other match, or they're going to NWA. There's going to be NWA. I don't think TNA. I don't think so. You know, there's going to be too much heat between them and like Triple H to actually be like, man, I want to work for this person. So if we don't see Montez Ford get a push soon, and I mean at least 2026 in the singles division, it will never happen. He will never win the Royal Rumble. He will never win Money in the Bank. He will never win Elimination Chamber. I don't think he'll ever hold the U.S. title if he doesn't get that push starting 2026 after WrestleMania. Hey, do a draft and split them up. But it's all because of Triple H. I think, you know, with this John Cena heel turn and, you know, all this stuff, if Triple H doesn't make good this next WrestleMania and even this SummerSlam this year, he has to step down from creative. And he honestly needs to step down from booking. You know, HBK seems to have a better idea of what to book than Triple H. Do I want HBK in there? I would want HBK over Triple H at this point. The only reason WrestleMania 40 was good was because The Rock said he brought in his own writers. You know, The Rock hired his own team, and they gave us WrestleMania 40. You know, Triple H did not do that. But that's all I have for now. I think Triple H spat in the face of Kairi Sane by having her lose. It doesn't even matter that the match was botchy because, you know, Zoe Stark got injured. But the fact that he booked her to lose after she was gone for a long time, you knew she was going to get a pop. You knew the fans loved her. And you still fed her to Rhea Ripley for no reason. And Rhea being the type of person she is, I can almost bet Rhea didn't even want to do it. Rhea probably was like, why in the world am I doing this? But you gotta listen to Triple H. But that's all I have for right now. Get in the comments. You know, let me know what you think of Triple H in the comments. Peace.